Hey guys, how's it been? I haven't uploaded anything. This video is obviously not Apex related. This video is about my childhood game that I just want to share since I rediscovered it a few days ago. And yeah, let's talk about it real quick. So this game is actually pretty old. It's 14 years old at this point. It had its anniversary 3 months ago. The Chinese name for it is called赛尔号, and the English name is called Seer, S-E-E-R. Put it simply, it's basically a Chinese ripoff of Pokemon. Let's just put it at that. When it first came out, it's very much just a pirate version of Pokemon. As it went through, various changes, and as its player base grew older, it became completely unrecognizable compared to when the game first came out. I've only returned to this game about 4 or 5 days ago, so that's a pretty large gap. And just to clarify, I first touched this game in 2013. That was a decade ago. So yeah. Just like how Newgrounds was your guys' playground, a website called 4399 was basically where I play all these little flash games, and Seer was actually one of them. It caught my attention with its cartoonish and also funny and quirky caricatures. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but we're basically playing as these little space dudes with only legs. We get our arms in the forms of tools and drills and even other mechanical parts. But in essence, we're just a little tin can going through space in a futuristic spaceship with our trusty captains and comrades. And not to mention our beautiful little Pokemons, or should I just call them pet for copyright reasons? But yeah, like all Pokemons and Pokemon copycats, we start off with the classical choice of 3 elements: fire, grass, and water. For Seer, all these Pokemons have really unique designs. The fire Pokemon is a little monkey or an ape. The grass Pokemon is a little seedlet, or I guess it could be a flower that's about to bloom. For water, I think it's actually one of the cooler designs. It's a miniature lizard. Well, it's gonna grow into a lizard, but when it's in its youth form, it looks kind of like an Axolotl, I guess, an alien Axolotl. Once we make our decision of which pet we're getting, you get sent off to the planets. And one of the first planets we land on is called Close, with a K. On this planet, you see a lot of birds walking around, and it's just, I love the simplicity of it all, letting the players wander everywhere, clicking on interactables, listening to the ambience or the music. At some point, the game started to go away from the simplicity. I think it all started from this one little poll they did, asking the players if they wanted more humanoid-like pets or if they wanted more, Pokemon-looking pets. And the humanoid choice came out on top, but let's be real, I'm going to show you pictures of this later, but they're not even humanoid, they're literally just humans. And some of them are actually just gods. So yeah, it does get a bit awkward when you think about how you have these little Pokeballs, which in this game we call them pills or capsules. You have these little gods containing capsules and pills. That wouldn't be sensible, would it? So they got rid of that. One of my favorite concepts of capturing Pokemons and capturing pets, where you toss out the balls and whatnot, you don't even see them come back out of the ball. You capture them using capsules and pills, and you don't see them come out of it. They just exist when combat happens. It's hilarious. Now, one of the most noticeable things with the Seer community is how blatant they are with cheating. So what I mean by cheating is that they aren't shy about using exploits and using cheat engines to basically make their life easier, making capturing Pokemons, doing not daily missions, but like, what's it called? Special event missions, just a bunch of various things. The company doesn't really go after these cheaters as long as they don't go overboard. I don't know what they mean by that. I just read a small little post saying that, so I'm just regurgitating it out. All these engines are able to tweak client-side things for the most part. Things like in-game currency, premium currency, that's on server side. So even if you change it on client side, it doesn't do much. It's just visuals. But for some reason, you're able to cheat your way into battling various pets. And the data gets collected and sent over to the server, and the server registers it. So you can literally just give yourself Pokemons. Not directly, but like indirectly, where you're fighting the Pokemon, capturing them, whatnot. This brings me to another point I want to make about this game, is that Seer has this bad tendency to put away pets or shelve them away, and basically cutting contents away from the game. I don't know why they decide to do that, because like collecting pets is the whole shtick of, you know, this genre. It wouldn't be that bad if they have a rotation for these pets per se, but they don't do that. Once the pets are gone, I'm pretty sure they're gone for good. At least like the collectibles, like the smaller Pokemons. If they're like boss or mini boss level, you could expect them to return after a while, but I'm not sure how long. Don't take my word for it. But yeah, it's extremely frustrating to see all my childhood, you know, pets not being obtainable, and yeah, it's just bizarre that the game company decided to do this. In terms of game health, I guess it generates this sense of FOMO, so it keeps like the player retention high, or at least like, you know, their data shows that their players are always online or something. I'm thinking from like a Apex Legend, you know, respawn perspective, something that's like, you know, Western philosophy. I'm not sure how these Eastern companies operate besides just making a ton of money and trying to just shove microtransactions on top of microtransactions. Okay, so the interesting thing about Seer is that they have a mechanism where you're allowed to travel back in time, quote unquote, to capture certain pets. But even with this mechanic, which I'll show you hopefully on screen right now, but you could see that there's only like, what, 4, 5, 8 pages at most? And that's not even enough. There's 4,000 plus Pokemons or pets to be captured in this game, and these 8 pages doesn't even account for a miniature fraction of that. Now let's take a quick little break from the capturing system. Let's talk about the combat system. Back then, the combat system is really simple and linear. You basically walk up to a pet, you know, you go into combat, you start battling out with 4 abilities, and each of them has their like limited amount of moves. You could restore the Pokemon or the pet's health using potions, and yeah, that was pretty simplistic, you know. Nowadays, you have like not 4 moves, but 5. The 5th move, sometimes really OP, sometimes weak. This 5th power sometimes could be locked behind, you know, paywalls, or it could be time gated because you need to gather materials to unlock them, whatnot. It gets ridiculous, yeah. And I think the potions are still the same, so that doesn't change. What did change is the pets started to have their own like elements on top of their natural elements. What I mean by that is, hopefully I will show you a video clip of this, but in the top right hand side of these Pokemons, they have these special traits, and some of them have really long and sneaky pages. Other ones, they don't have like, you know, any interesting bonuses at all. They just seems to be like, pretty lame or tame even. But yeah, below the character you can see like these 3 sockets. They're basically configurable gem sockets, and these gems, they have different stats, attributes, different bonuses, hidden elements, and you can sock jewels on top of these gems, and it's like, it gets crazy complex. Another thing about the combat system is there's 2 things. One, you could have in-game titles, achievement titles, event titles, doesn't matter. Some titles give you like attribute bonuses for your pets, which directly affects your gameplay. The second thing I want to talk about is flames. What are flames? They're basically little modifiers that you could give to your character. They appear in the form of circles, animated circles beneath your character's feet. Now what this do, it depends on the color of the flames. Some flames, they give you in-game health regeneration. Some of them give your damage increase. Some of them give you damage reduction. Some of them gives your like pet full range attribute stat points up by like, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, but it gets pretty elusive like when you're trying to grasp the game mechanics. Yeah. And just a quick side note, there's also like something called ability stones that gives like your pet certain moves with specific elements. And why this is a thing is because certain bosses, they can only be hurt with certain elements, and these moves help remedy the situation where like, you need specific combinations of skills, but you can't have that pet to be a certain element, and vice versa. It's basically a safety measure for unwinnable situations where people, get screwed over move wise and elemental disadvantage wise. Basically these gems we talked about previously are rather the jewels you sock on top of these gems. The jewels, they actually provide like specific effects depending on the jewels elements. If it's grass, let's say, then it has like a X% chance to proc poison. This percentage rate is based on the rarity of these gems, jewels. I'm mixing up the terminology, I do apologize, because there's not a localized version of this game. It's all Mandarin, and I have to like think of words on top of my head. That makes sense. So I do apologize if it gets confusing. One more thing is that like there is such a thing as like damage reduction, insta-kill chance reduction, damage over time reduction. These are like attributes that you could level up for these pets, and that's kind of like interesting and also something new that I don't see being a thing in Pokemon. I could see this being a thing in like gacha games and other mobile games of the genre, but it is still pretty unique to see in a hero collector or pet collector game. They also have specific unlocking tools where you could like give your pet specific resistance to status alignments. What I mean by that is once you unlock the resistance tab, you basically have to RNG whatever resistance you have. They'll be randomized. Your pet will have randomized resistances to different alignments, and that gets interesting too. I don't know what else to say for that, besides like there's a lot of currencies and micromanaging. So what does the game do to help the player grasp all this nutty bullshit? Well, nothing much. They don't really do much for you. You have to search up guides online and see how to like push through different levels, and you basically have to be a teacher for yourself and look for materials online. This game, what it does is like it lets you explore, but like on a Dark Soul difficulty nowadays. All these events and bosses, they've scaled up with current like power creep levels. So as a new player, it's very likely that you're just gonna get steamrolled and you won't get much done on the first week. Talking from personal experience, I'm going to show you this Pokemon that I got with 2 days of playing. Her name is Aya, I believe. Let me just double check that real quick. So it's called Iolia. So Io, let's just call her. Io, she is pretty strong and broken. It's a must-have character. Without her, I really don't know what the hell you're supposed to do as a new player, because this game gives you oh yeah, just a quick update. I think for new players now, once they join the game, they don't like have to choose between one of the 3 pets. I think they get all 3 pets, but like a futuristic version of it. And they also get like a huge collections of like old boss pets for some reason. You don't have to worry about those. They don't really do much. You have to waste a lot of time to get them to their quote-unquote ultimate form or mega evolve them, whatnot. It's for later. But for now, the most interesting thing is how they give you a pet called Jimmy or Jimmy. This thing is a dragon and a mech hybrid. It's super strong and powerful. But between Jimmy and Io, I would say Io is like miles stronger. Again, I don't know what I would do without Io, because like her abilities on top of Jimmy makes it possible to like stall bosses and different like levels and whatnot. I think I've been speaking pretty poorly of Seer, and I think we should change it up a bit. Talk about the positive sides of things. One thing I want to mention is how like easy and quickly you can obtain EXP to level all these like pets and whatnot. There's like daily EXP stages and daily learning power stages. Basically, you could go, look at current and past events and obtain a lot of tools and gadgets that help you power up fast. That's one thing I really like about the game. There's also a guild system, or I guess we could call it fleet system, where you are able to join certain fleets, and it gives you like a slight edge in killing bosses in PvP and PvE. Because they have like tech trees in there, and with these tech trees you could boost your pet just like by a little minuscule amount of their attributes. And yeah, I think that's a positive for me, but I could see how it could become a negative because you're feeling like you have to join a team to like really maximize your damage. So that's all I got for now. Hopefully we will turn this into a series, and we'll explore like the more interesting tidbits about Seer. And yeah, I hope you guys learned something interesting, and let me know if you guys want to see more of this stuff. And one day, I sure hope one day this game gets a legitimate localization, because I think it's worth playing. Maybe they should just tone down the microtransaction a little bit, but other than that, it's a great game. Yeah, see you guys next time. Bye bye.